I'd like to call the Onslow County Board of Commissioners meeting for Monday, February 19th, 2024 to order at this time. We'll start by asking our Assistant County Manager, Janelle Galloway, to lead us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Chairman. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Lord, be with the commissioners in their deliberations and bless them with wisdom and guidance as they address the items on today's agenda. Bless our citizens, our first responders, and those defending our nation. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. Amen. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, the beliefs, and the traditions of those gathered here today, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to take just a minute and recognize the elected officials that have joined us tonight. As always, Mr. Rick Grant, Alderman from North Topsail Beach, is here with us, as well as the Sheriff of Onslow County, Mr. Chris Thomas, here with us tonight as well. I think that's all of the officials here with us. We'd like to ask that all in attendance please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public one opportunity to speak during the meeting. Comments should be limited no more than 5 minutes and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. With that being said, we needed a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, agenda has been adopted. Do we have any board members with questions or concerns about any items on the consent agenda that needs to be pulled off and
Motion to approve.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, consent agenda has been approved and adopted. We'll move to item 3, and I'll turn this portion over to Mr. Smitherman for public comments.
Thank you, sir. This evening we have 2 people signed up to address the board. The first is Rachel McGlew.
Miss Catherine, who signed up behind me, would like to defer her minutes to me if possible. Is that not feasible? Okay. All right. Well, then I'll read Speedy. Good evening. My name is Rachel McGlew, a name that I hope rings somewhat of a bell to some of you as I've sent emails lately and spoken to a few by phone. I have several concerns regarding one specific department that you oversee, the Parks and Rec, and their youth athletic program. However, more so tonight, I'd like to address the unfair, the outdated, and the un-American process utilized by you, the Board of Commissioners, in appointing advisory board members and then how these boards operate. I'm not going to discuss my actual concerns with the Park and Rec Department because I've learned through my conversations, my research, and my interactions since learning about these advisory boards that the concerns I and many others hold cannot be properly fixed or addressed within a completely broken system. These boards are supposed to be used to represent the various districts within the county and the needs and the wishes of the county communities and its citizens. The members who are appointed to these positions should be representing properly those that they speak for. I've been told by my appointed representative for the Park and Rec Advisory Committee that she is unsure she can even connect with me via phone or face-to-face. So how then is she properly representing myself in my area? Decisions being made in a bubble, in a closed room session, or at a meeting that doesn't allow public comment, such as the one that just started down at Onslow Pines Park as I speak, does not work. The county community should be made aware of these boards, when and how they can apply to participate, and when the vote for such appointments by the Board of Commissioners is actually occurring. They should be interviewed. They should be nominated by community constituents. Be someone who is willing to listen to hear from, to discuss with the people they represent, and someone who will not just act solely on their own opinion. The people elect and the elect appoint. And if those appointed members do not act according to the people of who they represent, then they need to be replaced, and the people need to take it back. You cannot have community involvement without listening to your community. Per your February 5th printed agenda and read aloud by your Deputy Clerk, Ms. Outler, the Onslow County Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee strives to effectively assess the wishes of the citizens of Onslow County regarding the needs, the planning, the management of the quality of parks, facilities, and recreation programs, while also advocating for the improvement of these programs. You all should have received an email chain that I sent between myself and Ms. Carol McIntyre. I forwarded it to you. If you don't know who Carol is, which unfortunately I believe some of you don't, let me fill you in. She is a citizen volunteer that you all reappointed on February 5th to another 3-year term as the Park and Rec Advisory Board member that represents the Stump Sound District. I don't know how many years she's served already, but I know it's been many. Her email that I'm referencing was in response to me reaching out to her to connect about the youth athletic program that Parks and Rec has and the concerns that I have. The end of her email reads, "If you are still unhappy with the league's current rule about age advancement, there are other leagues operating in the area that may better suit your overall goal for your child within youth athletics. Much of Duplin County and Topps Hill baseball are both affiliated with the Dixie organization." I called Ms. McIntyre out on her copy and pasted response, and I requested for a second time a phone conversation or a face-to-face, and she met me with this: "Please excuse my assumption that you were writing to me to complain about the age advancement procedure changes that were recently approved. To the best of my knowledge, there are no procedures in place for board members to have district meetings. I would need to contact someone at Government Center to determine if this practice exists. As a member of the board, we act as one, and our decisions are recorded as such." So, the BOC, let me point out a few things to you. My children are not complaints. Onslow County children are not complaints. Ms. Carroll has implied this. My children and family reside in Onslow County. I shouldn't need to go out of county with my tax dollars and my family money for better suited programming that my kids should have right here in Onslow County. Carol has advised me to do this. An appointed board member to a county-wide program is not wanting to connect with her community she represents. Knowing what your community desires, is upset with, has suggestions about, etc., is imperative to representing your area and its people. According to Carol, she doesn't owe it to us to hear from us, to report back and vote while representing us. The advisory board should in no way, shape, or form act as one. This defeats the entire purpose of having board members that represent the varying and diverse districts and community members within our county. A citizen volunteer application was submitted for this specific board position and was not even given a second thought as to why this person wanted the seat or how they may better serve the community. The current member was reappointed with no discussion, no consideration, and no attempt given to the other applicant. The appointment occurred was a casual, extremely quick vote that was coupled with laughter and side conversations as seen in your February 5th meeting. So Mr. Knapp, Mr. Foster, Ms. Carpenter, Mr. Scott, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Buchanan, and Mr. Price, who's not here, you all have told me that my child and the children of Onslow County are just complaints, that I, along with others, should take our money and family out of Onslow County programming for better quality youth athletics, and the fact that our community and family voice doesn't matter because there isn't a process in place to meet with community members. You all reappointed this board member 2 weeks ago. So your names are tied to how she responds, acts, and treats her constituents that she is supposed to represent. Does this sit well with you? Because to me, it makes my stomach turn.
Mr. Chairman, the next speaker is Catherine Wendling.
Basically, I have the same concerns that Ms. Rachel has and about how this has all come about. The Parks and Rec has really done a number on our youth, and the advisory board that everyone here has appointed has really not spoken for us. I was the president of Dixon Youth League for 9.5 years, and I have been through I don't know how many different Parks and Rec employees, and what I am seeing, the change. Look at our numbers. They are falling. The Parks and Rec programs, the athletic department is ruining rec sports. Someone needs to look at this and figure out why. And if it's our county if it's our advisory committee that's not being our voice, we need a voice, and we don't have one. Our children don't have one. Our youth don't have one. And that's sad that we, as large of a county as we are, that we cannot have a rec program that is successful. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that's the last speaker.
Thank you. We'll move right into presentations, and we'll start with Ms. Galloway with our proclamation for Black History Month.
State of North Carolina, County of Onslow, proclamation. Black History Month, 2024. Whereas Black History Month has been the annual celebration of recognizing the accomplishments and contributions African Americans have made throughout the history of the United States, and whereas each February we pause to reflect and honor the legacy of African American leaders in industry, politics, science, and culture, and whereas Black History Month gives us an opportunity to learn more about this important part of our nation's story and recognize the achievements of our local African American residents, and whereas we join with all Americans in celebrating our diverse heritage and culture and continuing our efforts to protect democracy for all people and commit ourselves to advancing civil rights for all Americans. And whereas during Black History Month, all Americans are encouraged to reflect on past successes and challenges of African Americans and all do our part to build a brighter future and continue to improve society so that we all live up to the ideals of freedom, equality, and justice. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Onslow County Board of Commissioners acknowledges February 2024 as Black History Month in Onslow County.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. As we'll now move into public hearings, Mr. Smitherman.
Yes, sir. Our first public hearing is number 33 of 2023, the Battery Point rezoning. And Carter Metcalf, our planning director, is on the way to the podium to present the matter. And afterwards, I will call on the petitioner prior to opening the public hearing.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and our county commissioners. First item this evening is the Battery Point rezoning request, PREZ 2023, number 33. The applicant is CLD Engineering, and the owners are Mark T. and Sandra K. Malpas. So we'll begin with an overview of the request. Is from rural agriculture to residential 8 manufactured, or R8M. The tax map number is 777-109.5. The location is off of Flamingo Lane, which is a private easement, and it's located in Stumpstown Township. It is 29.22 acres, and the existing use is residential or a vacant field. Overview of the services is a 4-inch Onwassa water line along Swan Point Road, which Flamingo Lane comes off of. And then there's a 2-inch Onwassa water line along Flamingo Lane. Wastewater would be individual septics, as there's no sewer system in the area. Fire service is Turkey Creek with an ISO rating of 4. Our most recent traffic count comes from 2022, which is nice to have a more recent count off of Piru Road. The count was 3,800. Staff estimates the capacity just under 15,000. Schools serving the property would be Dixon Elementary, Dixon Middle School, and Dixon High School. As we continue along, we'll take a look here at the zoning map. You can see it's currently, again, rural agriculture. And the pink there is R-8M, which is the request before you tonight. So it would be that adjacent zoning district. Now, if we look at those two districts in comparison, rural agriculture is a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet, and its purpose is to maintain a rural character and that rural development pattern that preserves the agricultural character of the county while accommodating limited low-density single-family and limited commercial uses. Now, contrastly, the proposed zoning district is residential 8 manufactured, or R8M. Minimum lot size is 8,000 square feet, and the purpose of that district is to provide for a moderate to high-density single-family and multi-family developments, as well as it does allow for manufactured homes. But it's to be in urbanizing areas of the county that have access to the necessary utility and transportation infrastructure. Now, as we look at the comprehensive plan, A majority of the property is in the high-density residential, and this category is to provide for high-density single-family, regardless of whatever type it's built as. And then a portion of the property down near the water, which is in the regulated floodplain, was put in the conservation category. And so to accommodate environmentally sensitive areas, and specifically how we mapped it was based off the floodplains. If we take a look at the map, you can see again, most of the property is in that high-density residential category, while the portion down near the water is in the conservation, which is in that light blue. Most of that area would be regulated as well through different setbacks and other regulations per different ordinances of the county. As well, since it's in Sneads Ferry, we do have the Sneads Ferry Community Plan. It's in two categories. The first is the waterfront living category. It's maintain and promote residential and non-residential uses, specifically those that are water-focused. And the intent is for small-scale commercial that's focused on those water uses, or infill residential at a scale that's complementary to what's existing. And then conservation category aligns up with that future land use one, which is also down by the water. If we take a look at what this kind of looks like on the map, the left side is the Sneads Ferry Community Plan. The right side, we've kind of zoomed in for you. That right circle shows the property. So majority of the property is in that waterfront living category, which again, if you're proposing light kind residential, which is this proposal tonight, the Sneads Ferry Community Plan would support that idea. Now, if we keep moving along, we look at that regulated floodplain. You can see that's where that conservation category is. So it lines up with, again, how we mapped it. If we take a look at the reasonableness and the public interest, the proposed rezoning could be considered reasonable because it's corresponding zoning district to high-density residential, as well as also being consistent with the Sneads Ferry Community Plan with the waterfront living category. It also has the adjacent residential 8 manufactured zoning. It's consistent with 4 policies in the comprehensive plan. Could be considered unreasonable because the R8M does not directly correspond with the conservation future land use category. Planning Board, they met at January 4th. And the Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. The applicant spoke on behalf of it at that time. 2 citizens had emailed staff prior to Planning Board. Their comments were presented at that meeting. One had concerns regarding wildlife in the area, and the other just simply had some questions about the proposed development. And those citizens were followed up by staff there afterward. If we take a look at the surrounding area here, you can see there it's adjacent to the New River Inlet Estates Campground and also the Swan Point Marina. A little closer look, you can see the existing residential nearby and that this area is currently a field, and again, that kind of entrance road there to the house at the end. Staff posted the sign there near the entrance to the property as required, trying to give the best notice to folks to be able to see it. And as well, we'll take a look at the property. That's what the upper area looks like there along that entrance road. That's Flamingo Lane right there. It's the asphalt pavement. And it will take a look. That's what it looks like down by the water in that area that's in the conservation category. It's the lower portion of the property. So as respectfully requested, the Board of Commissioners consider the proposed rezoning amendment of Prairie Z 2023 number 33 and adopt a statement of consistency for the amendment and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents. This concludes the staff presentation.
At this time, I would allow the petitioner, the Malpases or CLD Engineering, to present on behalf of the petition.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Frank Braxton. I'm with CLD Engineering, and with me tonight is the present property owner, Mr. Mark Malpas, and the proposed property owner, Mr. Craig Smith. They're here tonight to represent a statement I'm getting ready to make, is that both of these, the existing owner and the proposed owner, either live or will build their house on the property. And that's important. That's one of the first a few projects I've ever had where both the property owner past and the new property owner are going to live together on land they developed. Boy, it's a gamble. But, residents have a clear shot at it. But that gives you an idea of the quality and, I guess, attention that this development's going to have. They're not going to spoil their own backyard. They're looking at stick-built type single-family homes, higher quality than you would normally see because it's part of their development. And I think that's important for the area. They're not going to reduce, but I think increase the value of the property there. A couple little housekeeping that we did go through. We've done a lot of due diligence that we have delineated the wetlands. We're not impacting any wetlands. They're down on the south end near the waterfront. And also the Corps of Engineers has not claimed any ditches or conveyance systems on the site. They're not deemed borders of the U.S., so that helps a lot. And from looking at the property, it's already cleared. We're not going to be fighting having to clear property that probably shouldn't be if it were completely wooded. It's a beautiful piece of property. The reason we're going for the rezoning is this property has to be supported by septic systems. And we've done an analysis through a soil scientist on the site and determined where the sites or the good soils are. And we've got pockets. We don't have a big range where we can just plow through and have every lot equal. It doesn't work. And so the RA zoning limited our ability to have a variety of lot sizes. And we needed to get those lot sizes to a point where we could have enough units to support the development. Our analysis on the septic system, in using traditional and some other types of systems, we can probably support maybe 50 units on the site. So the 10 units per acre can't happen on that site. That's under the R8 zoning. And the 50 units would probably equal about 2.5 per acre. So it's a good density for that area. It provides price points of, I guess, nothing's affordable anymore for me or most people. So, but this does bring it down, so some is and some won't be. But that's just the way it is. I think the development is going to be really nice from the attention that I've been given from the owners. I use owners plural, which is really interesting, that it is going to be a top-notch development. And I do appreciate your time and hope y'all look favorable on this request and answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Okay, this time we'll open the public hearing. Mr. Braxton, I assume you did want to speak again?
If there are issues, yeah.
No? Okay. So we're going to skip over Mr. Braxton on this list and go to Christina Asbury.
Thank you. Shall I state my name and address? You got it for the thing? Okay, Christina Asbury, 308 Folkestone Road, Holly Ridge, North Carolina. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today regarding the proposed zoning map amendment for the parcel located on Flamingo Lane known as Battery Point. First and foremost, I want to emphasize that despite the density requested, this property will not become a high-density community. Its historical significance in Onslow County's history cannot be understated, and preserving the integrity of one of the last large tracts on the river is paramount. The rezoning of R8M is essential to accommodate a portion of off-site septics. As you know, the county's infrastructure for sewer is not available and expanded in that area. Additionally, should this property sell, deed restrictions would be placed on the deed to prohibit mobile or manufactured homes or campgrounds from being located on this lot, despite the zoning allowing them to do so. It's crucial to highlight that a portion of the tract is already zoned R8M on Piru Road. We're simply requesting an extension of the same zoning classification to the remainder of the tract. This owner, my seller, has meticulously selected the developer buyer to ensure that the land is respectfully developed and that it aligns seamlessly with the Sneads Ferry Village Master Plan, the Comprehensive Land Use Plan, and the future land use maps. In closing, I would urge you to approve the rezoning of Battery Point. With its compliance with the future land use map and all the comprehensive planning efforts in place, there should be no need to deny this application. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, that was the last speaker, so at this time we will close the public hearing and turn it over to you, sir.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions on that one? Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to the next one, Mr. Smitherman.
Yes, sir. Our next is a text amendment that Carter will present to you, and then we'll call the petitioner up and allow them to present their case. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and County Commissioners. Second, I forgot the clicker. That's what you get for taking it with you. All right. So the second item before you is the winter 2023 commercial kitchens in rural agriculture text amendment, ZTA 2023 number 2. Again, this is a zoning ordinance text amendment, began in the winter of 2023, but it's specifically for commercial kitchens in rural agriculture. The applicant is John L. Pierce and Associates. The overview of the request is in the table of permitted uses. We have all of the different uses listed. Specifically, one of them is the commercial kitchen. And the proposal is to allow it permitted in RA, which would be adding that P in the table. It's currently permitted in community business, highway business, and the light industrial district. So overview of what that would be substantively, you have the commercial kitchen. It's an establishment where food and or beverages are prepared on site for the purpose of restocking a food truck or a catering service. And again, just a review, the purpose of the rural agriculture zoning district is to maintain rural development patterns that preserve the agricultural character of the county. And the RA zoning district does allow for some limited commercial. It just depends, again, does it serve that nearby surrounding community? It's the purpose of that district. Take a look at reasonableness in the public interest. Could be considered reasonable because Onslow County does have a pro-business mindset and desire to grow small business. Could be considered unreasonable if it is viewed as it not being an appropriate commercial use in the rural agricultural zoning district. At Planning Board, they were requested December 7th and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. The applicant spoke on behalf of it and no citizens spoke against it. That's respectfully requested. And you consider the proposed ZTA 2023 number 2 text amendment to the Onslow County zoning ordinance and adopt a statement of consistency for the amendment and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents. Concludes the staff presentation.
Mr. Chairman, at this time we'll call up the petitioner, Mr. John Pierce.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Carter did a pretty good job of explaining, but we believe, and I believe, that adding this use to RA zone businesses, that the need for commercial kitchen in outlying areas of the county would prosper and enhance growth at a steadier rate. And I believe the small businesses that are required to produce their products in the commercial kitchens, such as food trucks and caterings, cannot always afford to hire rents that occur in a more urbanized area business zone. And this text amendment would hopefully allow for smaller businesses to afford to do so. I don't know if you realize, but there's a lot of catering businesses that come from out of the county, come into our county because the cost it costs to do a catering business, and I'm not sure all of them out of the county's got the same rules we got. We got stringent rules with the health department, and it's monitored and has to be inspected and checked constantly. And I believe there's a few positive this text amendment would be responsible and help to create. It helped create small business creation, more job creation, possible use of existing vacant buildings. And I know one or two that approached me that wants to do something like this, but it's not permitted in the RA zone. And I think at the same time, it would help increase the tax base. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to try to address them. Thank y'all.
At this time, we will open the public hearing, and seeing that there are no additional speakers, the public hearing is now closed. Mr. Chairman, the board may now deliberate on the question.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. So we'll move right into item 6, the general items, starting with coastal. Mr. Smithman?
Yes, sir. We recently received a request from the community college president requesting the reconsideration of a denial to carry forward FY 2023 funds into the board, into the college's 2024 year. That was an informal request and an informal denial. Mr. Heatherly has requested that the board reconsider this matter, and this evening it's presented for a formal vote as to whether or not to carry forward the roughly $470,000 of unspent funds from the community college's FY 23 budget.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to know why they didn't use the funds that was allocated.
Excuse me. I don't know the exact reason. I will say it is not atypical at all to have leftover funds. Generally, from an organization that big, it would be from lapsed salaries, where you budget for 100% of the salaries throughout the fiscal year. You may only have full employment at 93%, so there's 7% left over of unspent salary money. That's the most typical reason to have a carry forward request. But in this instance, Mr. Scott, I don't know the exact reason.
Originally, I had thought that I would be voting this one down, and after speaking with, hearing what you'd said about the lapsed salaries, and then also speaking with Commissioner Buchanan about this, I was wondering, Commissioner Buchanan, could you, just for the record, share what you and I talked about before the meeting about another option for where that money is, why it's there?
There's some projects that they have and they can't get the funds. They have the funds, they can't use them right away because they can't get the materials. And I think they're working on the library. They worked upstairs. They remodeled the library at the college. The bottom section, they need to do some more work on that, and I believe that's where that money was held back at. It's mainly construction costs and trying to get things done, and sometimes they just don't get it done in a timely fashion, and they have that money left over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And some of that carries over to not being able to get personnel or companies in a timely fashion. So
What they're trying to do is they want to do like I explained earlier, that they want to do a veterans type of service down there in the second part of the library to help out our veterans, and that's what one of these big projects they're trying to do, and they just couldn't get to it.
Our good attorney reminded me that we don't fund salaries at the local
correct.
level in North Carolina. So Mr. Buchanan's explanation is far more relevant than mine.
I'm not going to tell on you, but
I wasn't going to say nothing, David.
Well, I was fixing to bring it up, but
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like it to be noted that we've allowed this roll over every year for many years in the past. It's just the last couple of years that we've denied it, and part of that was because it was an exceptionally large amount in those years. So I don't think we need to treat the community college like one of our county departments. They're not a department of the county. We don't control their budget like we do the county departments. So.
And one thing is, David, they've been very conservative about what they come to us for, and we've been flat funding them, I think, for 3 or 4 years, and we really got to look hard at that. We need to look more helping our college out.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So we'll move right on to the next resolution.
The next one. The next item the Board of Commissioners is very familiar with. This is the result of our January 31st board retreat, where we decided we wanted to do a few things differently, and tonight we are enacting those desires by way of resolution. This afternoon at 4 o'clock, we met in a workshop format to review the details of a few documents. The first one is a new set of financial policies for Onslow County. The second is revisions to the rules of procedure for the Board of Commissioners. And the third is a resolution adopting those two documents and entering into the record the results of our board retreat. For purposes of clarity and transparency, I will tell you that the financial policies are the first comprehensive policies that I've found in Onslow County government to address the ways we manage money and the way we set our budgets, the way we incur debt, the way we pay back debt, the way we manage cash. And it's a baseline of a continuing conversation we'll have probably for the rest of the year to more robustly document the way we want to manage our organization financially. The big takeaway in this financial policy is the delineation of fund balance categories and setting aside money for future purposes such as capital, such as emergency preparedness and response, and for tax rate stabilization. In other words, if we have unintended or unanticipated dips in revenue during a 4-year revaluation cycle, we can cull the replacement funds from a set-aside that you have designated to assist the county during lean years without raising taxes on our property owners. So that's the gist of the financial policies. The gist of the changes with the rules of procedure are basically making the workshop environment a recognized and standard way for this Board of Commissioners to deliberate on important issues. Beginning next month, we will hold a workshop setting prior to the first meeting of the month. And we will have the traditional meeting like we're having this evening at the second meeting of the month. The first meeting of the month, we will still convene in this room and we will still conduct an action agenda. However, it will be preceded by a couple of hours of just working and talking without action. And generally, working as a team with your senior staff is the purpose of that environment. So today, we went over these two documents in a workshop environment. We also went over this resolution, which establishes the strategic direction of Onslow County government, including establishing a vision statement, a mission statement, strategic focus areas, a set of Onslow County's core values, and the board's primary initiatives to accomplish in 2024. Adoption of this resolution, Mr. Chairman, will enter all of these documents into the record as the Board of Commissioners' strategic direction for Onslow County government.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? I'm sorry. Any discussion?
Absolutely. This is a great resolution. I hope that we have a chance to get it publicized so the public can see it and see what our goals and initiatives are. And I just want to make one, among many other things, one of our initiatives for this year is to expand cultural and recreational opportunities, which means to work on our parks and recreation.
I just want to say that, the retreat that we had where we discussed this, we were kind of locked in together for about 7 hours that day, and it was a very, very beneficial retreat. And we sat down and defined our mission statement, our strategy, our goals and vision, and our financial plan, which I think was very significant. And today in the workshop, we spent about an hour or so going over everything. And my hat's off to you, Dave, and your staff for putting all of this together. That was a heck of a package. And it clearly defines, and like Royce says, I hope we get it out publicly so people can see it. If you read it and absorb what's in that thing, it took a lot of work and a lot of thought, and it shows a clear, concise direction as to where Onslow County is going. It's a very professional product that I'm proud of, and I'm proud to be a part of that process. So again, David, thank you to you and your staff for the hard work.
And is there any way that we can advise the public that this is coming back to us next month in red?
Yes, sir. So what this resolution will direct us to do as staff is come back to you in a couple weeks and propose the actions necessary to effectuate these financial changes. It's establishing by ordinance particular savings accounts, for lack of a better word, that are restricted funds that can only be used for those purposes such as tax rate stabilization, capital improvement planning, and emergency preparedness and response. And that will be done in our next business meeting.
Any further questions or discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Smitherman.
For the next item, I'm going to ask our newly appointed airport director, Mitch Sprunger, to present this item. He's not here. He missed all his glitz and glamour for this evening.
Just got unappointed.
And I'm going to, where's Ben?
See, it looks like our next one is.
Oh, did I
Ray
skip
Silence,
one?
Is Ray Silence and
Ray Silence is up.
is the 911
Come on
grant.
up, Ray.
Not yet, Ray.
Completely over you, Ray, and I am so sorry.
I'm hurt.
Mr. Smitherman, we're not going to make Ray director of the airport.
That's just not happening. Going to be in charge of the airplanes?
No. 911.
We haven't forgotten about you, Norman, don't worry.
911's good enough. Well, good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. The Onslow County 911 Center has been awarded a portable radio grant from the North Carolina 911 Board to purchase 8 portable radios to be housed at each 911 console for backup purposes. All portable radios will contain the North Carolina Viper statewide template and Onslow County local talk groups. The total grant is for $66,647.12 with no required matching funds. There will be no county funds used for this project. It is respectfully requested that the Onslow County Board of Commissioners approve the grant contract with the 911 Board and authorize the chairman to execute the documents on behalf of the county.
Motion approved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Ray, you know it wouldn't be right if I didn't talk to you while you're up here. So.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I am obviously in support of receiving these funds without question. I'm just curious to know, are there any maintenance costs that you can share with us going forward for operating those?
The first year, the maintenance cost is involved in that grant, but after that, we would have to pick that up if we choose to do so.
Okay, so you're kind of testing them out?
Say again?
You're testing these radios out, or you're
Oh, they're
just...
ours. The
Okay.
grant gives us from the 911 Board, it would be our radios.
Gotcha.
They're the
Okay.
handheld radios that are at the console.
Right, but I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood what you said. You're fine.
Ray, you might want to explain, because I know that Lisa is one of our new board members, where 911 money comes from.
Yes, the 911 surcharge money is the money you pay, the citizens pay here with a cell phone. It's the surcharge money. And we can only purchase approved items that the 911 Board sees fit for only answering 911 calls. So our furniture, chairs, things like that are 911 funds.
And Commissioner Buchanan, I'm sure the other citizens listening love to know that too. Thank you.
You're welcome, Lisa.
Can I buy a plane now?
Say that again, Mr. Silence.
Did we vote yet?
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Okay, I'm back on track now, Mr. Chairman. I realized the error of my reading, and I'm going to now call up Ms. Jennifer Baumgartner, our grants manager, to discuss a North Carolina Arts Council grant that we've been asked to assist with.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners. The North Carolina Arts Council has asked that Onslow County government assist them with the management and disbursements of their grassroots arts program grants. The grant agreement is for 2 separate grants and award amounts of $128,603 and $98,215. The $128,603 is from the Grassroots Arts Program designated county partners, and the $98,215 is from the Grassroots Arts Program provisional county partners federal funds. Neither grant requires matching funds from the county. Onslow County will work as the pass-through entity to community partners identified as awardees by the North Carolina Arts Council. The Finance Office and grants manager will work directly with the representatives of the North Carolina Arts Council to assist in the delivery of these grant funds to community agencies and schools. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the acceptance of these funds in the amount of $128,603 and $98,215 from the North Carolina Arts Council for the purpose of the grants, and authorize the county manager to execute the necessary documents on behalf of the county. I will answer any questions that you may have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Our last item, Mr. Chairman, under general items is a presented budget amendment, which our Deputy Finance Director, Lisa Marlin, will brief you on.
Thank you, Mr. Smitherman. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. It's my pleasure to present the following budget amendments for your consideration and approval this evening. Item B46 is a request from Parks and Recreation to increase revenues and expenditures by $21,000 for the sale of spring sports hats. Item B47 is a request from Finance to increase revenues and expenditures by a total of $226,818 for the North Carolina Arts Council Grassroots Art Program grants approved earlier this evening on Agenda Item 6D. Item B48 is a request from E911 Communications to increase revenues and expenditures by $66,647.12 for the North Carolina 911 Board Grant approved earlier this evening on Agenda Item 6C. Item B49 is a request from Administration to transfer budgeted funds from Human Services to General Government for salaries and wages and strategic planning. Item B50 is a request from Health Services to increase revenues and expenditures by $150,000 for the Supporting Women's Health Services funding approved by the Board of Commissioners on February 5th, 2024 on Agenda Item 5B. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the listed budget amendments, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take us on to appointments. Ms. Hoffman?
Thank you, Chairman.
Good call.
The first appointment is for the Community Child Protection and Child Fatality Prevention Team. The Community Child Protection and Child Fatality Prevention Team reviews all fatalities of Onslow County children, as well as any cases that may be receiving child protective services. All the cases are reviewed to determine what, if any, improvements can be made within the community as a whole to provide services for our child population. Mr. Sean Raynone has stepped down as a representative for the at-large category effective December 8th, 2023. The clerk's office has received an application from Ms. Jasmine Weems for the at-large category. No other individuals have expressed an interest in serving at this time. The application is on file and has been certified by the clerk's office. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the appointment of Jasmine Weems at-large category for the remaining one-year term expiring on June 30th, 2024.
So moved.
We have a motion. Second. And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you. The next appointments for the Consolidated Human Services Advisory Committee. In June 2013, the Board of Commissioners adopted Resolution 13-010 to consolidate the social services and health department functions pursuant to Session Law 2012-126. The 11 members, as established by North Carolina General Statute 138-35, shall reflect the population of Onslow County and include 1 licensed physician, 1 licensed dentist, 1 licensed optometrist, 1 licensed veterinarian, 1 registered nurse, 1 licensed pharmacist, 1 Onslow County commissioner, 1 professional engineer, and 3 additional seats. Gina Francis, licensed veterinarian category, has expressed an interest to continue to serve and has submitted a citizen participation application for consideration. No other individuals have expressed an interest in serving at this time. The application is on file and has been certified by the clerk's office. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the reappointment of Ms. Gina Francis, licensed veterinarian category, for a 3-year term expiring on November 18th, 2026.
So moved.
Motion to move.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. So that brings us to the consent item, but we have done, so we'll move right to the manager's comments.
I'll keep it brief this evening, Mr. Chairman. I've injected myself enough tonight, sometimes correctly, sometimes incorrectly. This resolution that you adopted is everything we need to get this work done. We have the desire, we have the resources. What we needed was the direction, and now we have that vision and that mission and that direction that you want us to go, so we know how to operate. And this will guide all of our work, I think, for probably the next 5 years. Just for the record, our new vision statement is the community of choice in coastal North Carolina, excuse me. I'm going to repeat that. We want to be the community of choice in coastal North Carolina. And our mission is to ensure that Onslow County is a thriving community for all by delivering exceptional services with good governance and fiscal responsibility. There are other things we're going to make sure these get press, that these get publicized to all of our employees, that this becomes the focus of everything we do, that the way we measure our investments, the way we measure our performance will all be benchmarked on this resolution you adopted this evening. I appreciate the hard work that went into this, and I look forward to helping you lead for the next few years. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll start with Commissioner Buchanan.
Oh, thank you. I did start there. One of the things, we heard some stuff this evening, and I take everything into consideration. We're talking about our youth because our children are our future. We received this book on the Wednesday prior to today, or sometimes Tuesday prior to today. We know everything that's in here, appointments, everything that's there. All the emails that we received, we forward them to staff and to the manager. They take care of that. They're working on a lot of those issues. As you heard Royce Bennett talk about a while ago about Parks and Rec, we're taking a look at those things. We understand what you're wanting, and we understand what you need, but we cannot do everything at one time, so we forward it to management and staff. But we had those individual appointment people's names on here last Tuesday. So it's not something we just did right now. It's something we've already seen earlier on. So now let me go to where I'm going to praise Parks and Rec. I wanted to do that first, but I'm going to let you know, when we celebrated Black History Month, myself, Vice Chair, and the Chair, all three of us were there last night for Black History Month at the Sturgeon City. And I'm going to tell you something. It was the most praised place in my lifetime as a commissioner, and watching the talent. I've never seen so much talent that we have in Onslow County. It's amazing if you'd have been there, and I know that Commissioner Knapp has the lady that was with the violinist playing that thing. I mean, it's my wife, myself, all of the commissioners that were there, all the people in attendance were on the edge of their chairs. The music that was played, this young 16-year-old from White Oak, Southwest High School, I'll get it right there, my friend. The dance that she did was more professional than I think I've ever seen a professional do. It was such, and I know that Angela's Lee sitting out there in the audience, you've seen the same thing I've seen. It was amazing, and I'll never forget what I seen last night. But our Parks and Rec worked so hard to put that together and working with the community. It was just, I don't know how much more to say about it. It was just outstanding. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. Commissioner Carpenter?
First thing I want to address is something that David Smitherman, our county manager, mentioned, which is a congratulations to Mitch Sprunger, who is our newly selected airport director out at Albert Ellis. I think he is incredibly capable and will carry on well following Chris's term there. So I'm very grateful and excited about that. And I want to address, and forgive me if I get your name wrong, is it Rachel McGlew? I got it right, good. your general topic of conversation, because I recall very well when I was looking into educating myself on what was going on here in the county and how the community could get more involved. I was surprised, actually, that we had like 26 or 27 advisory boards and committees. I didn't even know about them. And it was something that I was very curious about and felt the same that you do, which is there's not a lot of publicity, I guess, or emphasis put on those boards out there. And so I'm going to revisit that. So I think you make a very sage point that we need to do a better job. Unfortunately, the one thing I have found out being in here, and maybe it's because it's not put out there enough, is there's not a ton of people who are really interested in getting involved, and that's why sometimes we only have one applicant come. However, to your point, I think we could do a better job at getting the word out there when those come up. It's going to be a little bit of a project, and I'm sure that Angie and her staff would love to be working on that. But, and also on your comment about voting for the Parks and Rec person, just as a matter of having the record straight, I don't even know if you have access to the ballots. You know you have access to the ballots. But I do know Jennifer Vanek, and I did vote for her because I know she has been a very strong voice out there in Steeds Ferry for you all, and she does a lot of work. And so I do really agree with you in thinking a proper representation and voice and something new is always a good thing to have. So I'm 100% with you. And thank you for taking time to come and say that. And have a great week.
Thank you, Commissioner Carpenter. Commissioner Scott?
Well, first of all, we move forward tonight at the workshop. There's great things that's happening. Great things are going to happen because of what the decisions were made. I'm very happy with all those decisions because it answered some of my concerns for the past 3 years. We are moving forward. Parks and Recs is near and dear to my heart because I am an official that does a lot of sporting. Not saying we don't need to correct some things, we do. We can get better, but it's not done overnight. And that's one thing that we are looking at it from day one. It was given to our manager like it should have been, and he gives us the feedback. So I'm just asking for patience, and we are moving forward with that. And that being said, I'm asking everybody, please be aware of your surroundings. Got a lot of stuff coming forward. There's a lot of good things that's finally flowing in Onslow County. So God bless you, and I'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too, Ms. McGlew, wanted to thank you for your very articulate comments. It is on our radar, and we're hoping to get some resolutions in our Parks and Rec. But I also wanted to take tonight to thank Mr. Smitherman for his leadership. I'm more optimistic in the direction that our county is headed in right now than I have been in a long time. I appreciate the changes that are coming. I think they're going to be good for Onslow County and for our employees, and I'm looking forward to the next year and a lot of great accomplishments here. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Vice Chairman?
Rachel, I want to appreciate you calling me and making me aware. I got your email. I responded today, and you're very articulate today. I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying. That's the most important thing. So suffice it to say, as you heard from two other commissioners, we're working on this issue now. Give us a little bit of time, and hopefully we'll get it resolved. But I clearly understand where you're coming from, and I thank you for the call, and I thank you for showing up and speaking tonight, because what you said tonight was very elegant and very well done. So thank you very much for that. Like Commissioner Buchanan said, we went to the Black History Month celebration yesterday. And you know what intrigued me about the celebration and everything that was going on? There were a couple of speakers up there. But the first young man that came up, and I can't remember his name, I have it written down. And this kid is one of the most eloquent, from the street type of individuals that is very intelligent, who spoke his mind and made some points. And the moment he started speaking, I was mesmerized. I was listening to every word coming out of his mouth. And basically, he said something really intriguing. He said, Black History Month is not just for Black Americans. It's our history. It's all of our history. And he made a point, because that is part of our history. Whether it's Black History Month or Asian Heritage Month, Hispanic, it doesn't really matter. But to embrace that and to watch what I watched last night, we were there for about 2.5 hours, something like that, on the edge of our seats. Every performer that was there, especially that dancer from Southwest High School, it was amazing. She looked like she came right out of the TV. She was a professional dancer. And they had a singer who wrote his songs, that he was up there talking and sending a message. It was just an impactful night, and it was one of the most enjoyable things that I've ever experienced in a long time. You want to talk about a community getting together and uniting. Last night was it, and I was proud to be a part of that, and we need to keep that in mind and help celebrate Black History Month, because it just means a lot to this country and to our community and to every citizen that's here. Very, very powerful, and I'm sure the chairman will attest to that too. And I can't say enough about the violinist singer. She had me. She had me the first moment she opened her mouth. She was fantastic, a professional violinist who could also sing like she was Aretha Franklin. I mean, she sounded that good. And I just can't say enough. And I want to thank Parks and Rec for putting that on, because they had a spread. They had all these vendors there. They had all these people there. The seating arrangement, everything was done very nicely. My hat's off to Parks and Rec. So fantastic job on them. And the last thing, getting back to what I said about David and this financial plan and the goals, it's reminiscence of my time in the government, where you sat down with your agency and you have your visionary statement, you have your mission statement. Of course, it's a little different because there are different objectives, but nonetheless, it's the same thing. Today, walking out of that workshop, we've got a foundation. We have a direction. These are things that we sat down as commissioners and outlined as to what we're going to do and what our priorities are. And that's a good feeling, because now we have something that we put together as a whole, as a unity, as a Board of Commissioners, and that's what we're striving for. It's our roadmap, so to speak, as to what direction we want to go. Talking about the fund balance, the difference between unrestricted funds and restricted funds and things like that, so that we can better understand what fund balance means. Talking about our fiscal responsibilities, talking about our rules and procedures, and the proclamation showing our vision statement and our mission statement and our core values for Onslow County. We have it in documents now. We have it written down, and I think that's a great step in the direction that we're moving. And again, I can't thank you and the staff enough, David, for what you did, the thought that went into it. And I'm extremely proud as a commissioner to see that product and to review it and read it. So once again, thank you very much. And the rest of you, thank you for coming, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I think just 2 words sum up what you shared and what they've all spoken from the workshop, and that's strategic planning. And that is something that is getting ready to move very fast in the future. The vision statement, a community of choice in coastal North Carolina. Then finally, that mission is ensure that Onslow County is a thriving community for all by delivering exceptional services with good governance and fiscal responsibility. So as we move forward with the rest of this document, we're going to continue to take Onslow County and move it forward. And I'll say fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at growth and people moving to Onslow County, it's going to continue to be the community of choice where people are going to continue to move here, which is good, but also we got to get some homes built to be able to house all the folks that are moving here. Vice Chairman Knapp and Commissioner Buchanan both talked about the Black History Celebration put on by Onslow County Parks and Rec last night. It was all pieced together and brought together with the Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Rodney Johnson, who is very active in Onslow County, and he is one of our teachers in Onslow County as well. I think he's still in the classroom, but he started his own business, and there's a lot of things that he's doing. And kids that have been in his class, because they love him. And if you had a chance to see him in action last night, you fully understand why they love him and what he does. So we appreciate all the work that Parks and Rec did with that. Rachel, we appreciate you coming out tonight, and I'm sorry. I do, Catherine? Yep. And then I think Robin sitting back there, first time, she must have got here late because I've never known her to be shy about speaking to anybody, so she must have not made it in time to get on the public comment portion. We have received your emails, and we've talked to some of the people, and we've talked to the advisory, some of the people on the advisory board, and I know that you know that they are having a meeting tonight. And I think the biggest concern that I've heard and been tagged on has been the playing up feature, and then some of the changes that are taking place as well. The playing up feature was approved tonight at their advisory council with some grade level parameters. However that plays out, I'm not sure how that works, but they will be offering that play up in this year. And I think Parks and Rec is extremely important because I'm probably the only one sitting up here that participated in Onslow County Parks and Rec. And my father, when Onslow Pines first opened, was the president of the Southwest League with baseball. So I understand the love, and if you really want to find somebody's passion about something, talk to them about their kids, in particular the events or the activities that they're in. So they come to the table with a lot of passion. So that one feature has been addressed, and they're going to put into work. And there's other things that you're concerned about with changing leagues and then the nonprofits and the running of the concession stands and all that. I think change is probably the most difficult thing. Some of it takes a lot of the burden off of you and the districts. So I think hopefully we can see how that turns out. And at the end of this season, if it's a disaster, then we need to go back and have that assessed again. If you haven't established, I don't know if you've established your nonprofit status, but if you can get that established, and I asked Parks and Rec about that, if they need help getting that done. I've never established a nonprofit, so I don't know where to begin. But our folks at Parks and Rec, if you'll sit down with them, I believe they'll help you through the paperwork and help you get that set up and get the concessions running and everything. And I will speak to them and see what's going on there. But I think it's obviously very important for our athletic side of Parks and Rec to be successful. And the only way that's going to take place is us listening to the families, and then the families also listening to some of the changes that are taking place. Back when I played, we couldn't play up. At least I can't remember that we played up. But then again, I may not have been good enough. But so with all that being said, thanks for coming out tonight. Some changes are taking place for you. And when this season ends, I think Mr. Smitherman shared with some answers with others is let's take a breath and see how some of these changes take place, and successful ones, let's keep them. Those that are not successful, let's reevaluate them, ensure that we have a very good Parks and Rec program to support our kids and our youth. I think we had 1,400 last year in baseball and softball. I believe was this year the first year they offered fall ball. Have they been really? Okay, because I know they didn't have it back when my oldest, we went to the city because we didn't have fall ball then, so it's good that we've got the fall ball. Okay, fantastic.
That's what's getting in discussion.
Right, good. Perfect. All right, we appreciate it, and we'll continue to listen to your concerns. I don't want to say complaints, I'll say concerns, and we'll make sure that we assess those things at the end and meet again and continue to strive for excellence. And as we said early, let's be strategic in what we are trying to do to ensure the success of everything. So with that being said, a motion to adjourn. Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.